Hey there, welcome to Vision, the show all about the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm Lindsay Morshauser-Poe, your host for this season. We've got a really interesting show today, and we're starting things off sort of in forensic science, and we'll get there in a second. But I want to welcome to the show Dr. Heather Jordan. She's with the Department of Biological Sciences, so welcome. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I want to ask you first and foremost, because what you do is so neat. Tell us about your research and what you guys do in your lab here at State.
Okay, so my research, the research in my lab is broad. There's an umbrella of two main broad research areas. Okay. The first is microbial pathogenesis, so I'm a microbiologist. And my background is in microbial pathogenesis, understanding mechanisms of disease. Okay. Secondly, the broad area is microbial ecology, and that is looking at how microbes move, how they change in response to a changing environment. And okay. So the environment can be changing within the environment they're in, or they can be exposed to a new environment, and how they respond okay. to that. Yeah, so the goal, I guess, of the work is to conduct this basic science, right. To then apply it okay. to problems associated with human and animal health, sustainable agriculture, and then we also have projects in forensic science.
Wonderful. And so you are looking at, in your recent work that was in the New York Times, a great accomplishment, right? Kind of cool. That's kind of where your study takes a turn towards forensic science, right? Yes. So what was that like? What specifically did they want you for? Kind of talk to us about that experience.
Sure. Yeah, the New York Times, it was an interesting experience. Yeah, one thing, on a personal note, it actually helped me to articulate the science, right. And my own motivation for doing the work. Right now, microbes, microbiome, I don't know, are you familiar with the term microbiome?
Only from sort of reading your stuff.
Okay. So the microbiome are the microbes associated in and on us, okay. Generally speaking. Okay. And so it's become sort of a hot topic of how microbes help us. They're the good bacteria, the okay. bad bacteria. And there's now some evidence in research before me and the research that we're conducting that microbes may have a utility in forensic science. And so they contacted me and my colleagues from Michigan State, and mm-hmm. we chatted about the work that we do and the right. importance of it.
And it has to do with when a person passes, the decomposition and how that bacteria changes within them, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So, as I said, there's microbes in you, on you, all of us. There's some in the air, on the ground, and when we are alive, your immune system is kicking, right? Mm-hmm. And bacteria that are in us generally remain in their locations if you're okay. healthy, right? Okay. And there are certain sterile spaces, your heart. Perhaps your lungs and these things where there should be, we don't think, microbes, right? Okay. Your immune system is keeping them away. But after a person dies, their immune system ceases to function. And so the idea behind the research is that microbes that are in us should have that first chance to get to these sterile locations. Okay. And maybe there are certain microbes in us that have unique qualities, unique genes that will allow them to outcompete others to get to that place first. Okay. And so tracking those specific microbes along with the rest of the microbes in us and on us could give us an opportunity to correlate that movement and genes that are expressed with time of death.
And so the long-term, we were chatting before this interview, kind of the long-term goal of this work is to what?
So yeah, the really long term.
We
are
okay.
not there yet, but baby steps, right? Okay. So the long term goal would be that we recognize some of these specific genes or proteins that the microbes make to get to a certain location of the body that is associated with a specific time of death. And we want that window, that time of death window, to be as narrow as possible, minutes to hours, up to 24 hours, because right now that's not even with certainty. So the idea would be that a forensic investigator would arrive at a death scene. They would have a kit. They would pull out this kit. They would swab a certain area or areas of the body, swab it onto this field kit. It turns blue maybe, and that will give a discrete time since death. Okay. That's the goal. We're at the first step of just identifying patterns of microbial communities and genes associated with death. Yeah.
So interesting. Wonderful stuff. I wish we could talk to you for an hour about what you do, but we're all out of time.
Yep.
So congratulations on the accomplishments, and we wish you all the luck with this project and your other projects. So thank you so much for being here. Yeah. We'll have more coming up after this break.
It's a simple idea. Knowledge that transforms lives shouldn't be limited to those on a campus, but extended to any and all who want or need it, wherever they are. At Mississippi State University, we've been making that possible for more than 100 years through the MSU Extension Service. What began as an effort to extend the latest research to farmers has become something much more. Today, we're helping Mississippians from all walks of life, giving them the tools they need to build a brighter future. We're sparking the imagination of students around the state and inspiring the next generation of doctors. We're helping rural communities find their way to the internet and connect to the world at large. And we're teaching families how to lead healthier lives in ways both big and small. MSU is standing firm in its commitment to that one simple idea: extend the knowledge that transforms lives wherever they are. Imagine the flu as something children read about in history books. We are at Mississippi State University, where we ring true.
Hey there, thanks for sticking with us. We've got another special guest in the studio today, Dr. Melinda Pilkington from the Department of Sociology, and she is the program director for the social work program. I said that kind of in a funny way, yes, but I got to the point, okay? So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you. Some interesting work that you are doing as well. Talk to us about social work. What does that mean to the average viewer, right?
Well, social work is a profession that's been around for a long time, since the late 1800s, early 1900s. And we just basically help people solve or cope with their problems. Not all problems are resolvable, as you know, and so sometimes you have to learn new coping skills. And that's what the whole curriculum is based on, is teaching people practice skills and abilities in working with other people to determine what they might need.
Okay, and what's your role as program director? What does that mean for you?
Well, I supervise all the program ongoings, okay, so all of the activities and the curriculum planning, curriculum development, and that sort of thing. So it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. What led you to social work? What was your path here, and why did you think this is something that I have a passion for?
I didn't know about social work as a profession. I was a music major at another four-year university and came here and changed my major to social work.
Interesting.
When I read about it in the college catalog, and I said, I already do that. I'm the consummate volunteer. I had been volunteering since childhood in all sorts of children's services in my church and community, the nursing home, just wherever. I was interested. I was just one of those people who was interested in doing a lot of things. Okay. And I didn't know you could get paid for doing that. So I said, well, I think I'll sign up for that.
Yeah.
And it's worked out well. And it's been a way for me to incorporate music with social work in some of my practice settings too. So that's been a nice transition, actually.
Now, speaking of, this kind of leads into my next question. say there's a student sitting at home or someone sitting at home watching this and they're thinking, social work, that sounds interesting. What kind of qualities do you typically see in a student that decides social work is something I want to do? Because say I'm good at writing, I may think journalism or English, but what qualities do you see in your students?
There are some inherent traits that we see repeatedly, and those typically revolve around being the kind of friend that other friends come to for comfort or advice or guidance. So they're used to listening to people. Another aspect that I think is real important is that so many of our students are just totally non-judgmental about other people. They accept people of different cultures and religions and sexual orientations and whatever. They believe that people are people and everybody deserves to be treated with dignity, which is part of our code of ethics as professional social workers.
Okay.
So it's a natural fit for them.
It's natural, typically. What kind of, practicum classes or courses do they get to take? Is there any sort of field work in the program?
Yes, there is. They start out in Intro to Social Work with 30 hours of service in an agency. So their first course in social work, we send them right out to see if it is a good fit for them. If it's not, they need to choose something else.
Right.
We want them to know that in the beginning. There are several other courses that require service components, but the big one is the last semester they're here, and it's 450 hours of full-time service in an agency. It's very similar to practice teaching for education.
What kind of jobs or areas are they working in, and is it strictly local?
For the students?
Yes.
We have practice settings in all counties in Mississippi.
Wow, okay.
We've had them in previous semesters from Hernando to the Gulf Coast, so that's a busy time for us as we travel to those agencies to see the students. So they work in every aspect. They work in hospitals and nursing homes and child care services such as child protection agencies and children's crisis centers. Any agency that you can imagine, the health department or home health or hospice care or even legal services.
And I read when I was doing some research for this interview that there is job growth.
Oh, yes.
Why is that, and why is that a good thing to, tell everybody, that's thinking about maybe social work, because they have good job placement at the end of this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Everybody who graduates who wants a job gets one.
Really?
About half of our students don't want to get employment right away. They want to go on to graduate school, and we don't have a graduate program here, so they have to go elsewhere in the state or out of state for that. But we have excellent job placement. We keep up with that. We have a Facebook page for our alumni and students. We advise them of every opportunity we hear of.
Well, it sounds like a successful program.
It is.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And that's all the time we have for this edition of Vision. We'll see you next time.